Hey everyone, welcome to Mad Backyard. Today we're going to be showing you how to smoke some boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Now these are one of the easiest meats to get started with, especially when you're new to smoking. They're a lot more forgiving than chicken breasts in that they won't dry out as easily in a smoker. They hold up really well to low and slow cooking. So we're going to show you how we do it today. So let's go ahead and get these boneless, skinless chicken thighs trimmed up. You'll notice some of them have bigger pieces of fat than others. You don't have to go crazy taking off every little piece, but if you've got a piece that's got a big kind of edge of fat like that, go ahead and use a good boning knife like this one from iMarku and take that off. They're just not going to render out too well, and it'll help clean up your thighs a little bit. You'll also notice that some of them are kind of doubled over. Sometimes they're even stuck to each other in kind of a doubled over fashion like that. So you want to get those flattened out. That's going to help you get seasoning over the entire surface area of the chicken thigh, and they'll also cook a lot more evenly in your smoker versus if one's flat and one's doubled up like this one's going to take a lot longer to cook. So just make sure to flatten them all out and just kind of go through each of your chicken thighs and just get them cleaned up here so you can get them ready to season. We got our boneless, skinless chicken thighs all trimmed up. You can see here we didn't take off really that much fat, just kind of the long scraggly pieces. These pieces right here on top, it's okay to leave these on. These are all going to kind of render out and disappear as we cook, so don't worry about taking off every little piece of fat. So I got these laid out. We're going to season them now. I've got our Kansas City Championship Rub by 3 Little Pigs. If you watch our channel at all, you know we love this seasoning. It works great on chicken. It's got really good flavor. So we're going to go ahead and get these seasoned. Now when you're adding your seasoning, I see a lot of people in videos online, they go crazy with a ton of seasoning, just really caking it on there. And that's fine if you're doing like a big pork butt or something that has a lot of meat on the inside that's not going to be touching the seasoning, because then when you pull the pork butt, it'll all kind of even out. You want a lot of seasoning on the outside. When you're doing something like a chicken thigh, you know, you got a lot of surface area compared to how much meat you have. Don't go crazy putting the seasoning on, especially these store-bought seasonings that have a lot of salt in them. So I wouldn't cake it on, because that's also going to block a lot of your smoke flavor from reaching the meat. So kind of get a little bit on. I like to have a glove on one hand like this. I use these ones from GloveWorks over here. These nitrile black gloves work really well. I keep my right hand clean. That way I can touch my seasonings and stuff without contaminating them with chicken. And we'll get the other side too. But I like my chicken a little spicier than the rest of my family, so I'm going to add a little bit of this Kosmos Dirty Bird to a couple of the pieces here. This has got a really good flavor as well, but it is on the spicier side. And believe it or not, they even make a spicier version of this. I believe it's called like the Hot Dirty Bird. I'll put links to all this stuff down below if you want to check it out. But I'm going to put this on top of another couple pieces here just to add a little extra spice for mine. And then we're going to go ahead and get these, get a little more seasoning on that one. Then we're going to go ahead and get these flipped over to the other side and get them in the smoker. We're leaving these chicken thighs whole today while we smoke them, but one of the things we also love to do is to shred them up and pull them for pulled chicken sandwiches. And we've also used Mexican spices in the past to make smoked chicken tacos. I've got recipes for both of these on our website, madbackyard.com. I'll put links down in the description if you want to check them out. Today we're going to be smoking our chicken thighs in our Masterbuilt electric smoker. Now you don't have to use an electric smoker. You can use a pellet grill or any other type of smoker you want. You can follow along with the exact same temperatures and settings and times with us. Just make sure you are set up for indirect heat. You can see we got our smoker preheating here at 250 degrees. I put a water pan in the bottom. I like to use water anytime I'm smoking. It really just helps keep the cooking chamber moist, and actually having that little bit of moisture in the cooking chamber helps the smoke stick to the meat a little better. So I use water pretty much all the time unless I'm cooking skin-on chicken, like chicken wings or something that I'm trying to get dried out and crispy. Otherwise, I'm pretty much always using water. You can oil up your grates with a little olive oil on a paper towel as well to help keep the chicken from sticking while it cooks. Now, if you need a refresher on how to start your electric smoker, or if it's the first time you're using your electric smoker, make sure you go back and definitely check out our video on how to start and smoke on a new Masterbuilt electric smoker. That'll give you all the tips and tricks you need to get the temperature settings right and get your smoke started before you start cooking your food. All right, let's get the smoke started in our smoker. Today we're going to be using a combination of wood chips, both apple and hickory. Now, I like using apple because it gives a nice sweet, smoky flavor. And I like using hickory because it gives a more of a savory, pungent flavor. And I like using them really in combination with each other. So we're gonna add some apple to the bottom here. It doesn't matter which one you put in first. And then I add a little bit of hickory on top of that. And then we're gonna go ahead and slide this back into our wood tray. Push it all the way in. all the way in until it clicks here. There we go. And then we're gonna turn it clockwise 180 degrees so that those chips fall into our ashtray and start smoldering. It's gonna take about 10-15 minutes or so for that smoke to start getting produced, and that's when we're gonna put our meat inside the smoker. Make sure you wait until your smoker is fully preheated to 250 degrees with the water pan inside before you add the wood chips. Then come up to your top vent here. I like to leave it open about halfway when I'm smoking. This controls how much air is drawn in through the bottom vent, and it comes out the top. If you have it closed all the way, you're not going to get much smoke coming through. If you have it open all the way, those wood chips are going to burn really cleanly and not create a ton of smoke. They'll create some, but the airflow is just going to be too fast. By closing it down halfway, you kind of limit the oxygen consumption inside the smoker, especially if you're not opening your door very often, and you get that nice smoldering smoky flavor and clean smoke. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. You can see we've got some smoke coming out of our top vent now. Ideally, keep these chicken thighs in the refrigerator while you're waiting for your smoker to come up to temperature. Cold meat absorbs smoke a lot better than warm or room temperature meat does. So now that we got some smoke coming out, we got cold meat, we're ready to put them on the grate. So let's open up the door here. Watch as you open the door so you don't get blasted in the face with smoke. You can see I've got my nitrile gloves, but I put some cloth liners underneath them. This kind of helps protect your hands from the hot grates. I find this is a lot easier than fumbling with tongs and things to get your chicken on really quick. You can pull the grate out a little bit and just start putting them on. You don't have to worry about burning your hands if you accidentally touch the grates. Once you got your chicken on, you can take off the nitrile gloves on the outside that have the chicken juice on them, and then you can touch your door, close it, and that's the fastest way to get your chicken on without losing a ton of smoke or heat in the process. Now, chicken thighs are dark meat, so they need to come up at a little higher temperature than white meat chicken breasts. Chicken breasts, we're aiming for 165 as our final temperature. Chicken thighs, we want to aim for 175 degrees as our final internal temperature. Try to limit how much you're opening the door to your smoker while they're cooking. You're going to lose a lot of heat, but you also lose a lot of smoke, especially in the beginning. When the meat's cold is when they absorb the most smoke flavor. That's when you really want to just leave them alone and let that cold meat start to warm up, but also absorb the most smoke right in the beginning. It's been about 20 minutes since we put our chicken on. You notice that our smoke has died down, and this is normal as the wood chips completely burn up and smolder out. They're going to stop making smoke. If we were cooking a brisket or a big pork shoulder or something, I would definitely reload the wood chips at this point. You got to be a little more careful with meats like chicken and fish, because if they absorb too much smoke, they can get kind of a nasty flavor. So I'm usually good with just one load of wood chips on chicken. Once you get used to your smoker, you can feel free adding more loads of wood chips at that point if you want a lot of smoke flavor. But if it's your first time cooking chicken or fish in your electric smoker, I would recommend sticking with one load of wood chips, see how it comes out, and then you can always adjust from there. It's now been about 45 minutes since we put our chicken in the smoker. I went ahead and put a temperature probe in. You can see a little trick you can do if you're using an electric smoker like this is get a leave-in probe thermometer. You can drop it right down through the top of the vent here. And what I did is I ran the wire down through here, and then if you come around, you can look, I picked one of the top pieces of chicken and I just slid the probe right into the thickest part of the chicken thigh there. And the nice thing about doing it this way is you don't have to constantly open and close the door using your instant thermometer to check. We will use this as we get closer to finishing just to check and make sure they're all at the right temperature. But this kind of gives you an idea. You can keep an eye on how the chicken's doing from the outside without having to open the door and lose all your heat every time. So we're at about 138 degrees right now. So as we get closer to that 175 mark, we're gonna brush them with some sauce and show you how we finish them up. All right, guys, it's been about 2.5 hours since we put our chicken in. I want to talk about a few things I did along the way here. I did turn the temperature on our smoker up to 275 degrees. Now, generally when I'm smoking, I like to keep it the same temperature the whole time. However, we wanted to keep things moving a little bit, and I'm less concerned about turning the temperature up as the cook goes on than starting it off on a hotter temperature first thing. As the chicken cooks and as the fat starts to render, that's going to help keep it from drying out a lot more. If you're trying to speed things along too, you can also empty the water pan, which I did, again, for all those same reasons. And then you can see how much fat has rendered in our chicken. I'm going to pull this one out. You can see all that juice and all that tender fat this chicken's just coming apart. You can see how juicy that is. Okay, so that's what we're really looking for as we get close. We're going to take the temperature here About probably 165, 66-ish, right about there. So we're about 10 degrees away from our final 175 we want to get to. Another thing on the chicken, you'll see that I flipped them all over. They originally were kind of the flat side up. I flipped them over at one point, and I also rotated the grates because I found on this smoker, and every smoker is gonna be a little different, but as you move up and back and to the right near that vent, it gets hotter. So I took the rack on the top, I just took it out and put it on the bottom and just kind of moved things around as we went. So one other little tip and trick is I put a piece of cardboard down here. You can protect your deck or concrete or whatever you have your smoker on top of as you're moving your chicken around. You're gonna start having drips of grease, and that'll keep you from staining your concrete if you've got it out on a patio. So we're just gonna flip these back over now. The reason I flipped them is because as that fat renders, obviously it's gonna kind of fall down from gravity, and I find if I never flip the chicken the whole time it's smoking, this top can get a little dry. You see how it's nice and shiny now because we've had it flipped over, that fat's rendering down. If you never flip it, that gets kind of dry, the bottom gets nice and juicy, but I want to keep them pretty even. So we're gonna flip these over and get a little sauce on them now. All right, we're gonna get some barbecue sauce on some of these chicken thighs. Now, you don't have to use barbecue sauce if you wanna just let them keep cooking as they are up to 175, then take them off and eat them. They're delicious as is. We're gonna use this Blues Hog Champions blend. If you watch our channel, you know we love Blues Hog sauce. They make two other kinds. They're Blues Hog Original and the Blues Hog Tennessee Red. The Original is kind of a thick, sweet barbecue sauce. The Tennessee Red is more of a thin, vinegary sauce that we like to use on pulled pork. The Champions blend is actually a blend of both of these. So they noticed that a lot of competition cooks really like to blend both those sauces together. So they just went ahead and put them all together in one squeeze bottle to make it easy for us. So we're going to take the sauce and put it on some of this chicken here. Again, if you got some cardboard down below, you don't have to worry about drips and things like that. It makes it a lot easier to get these sauced up. Try to make sure your sauce isn't cold when you put it on. I let this sit out on the counter for a little while to kind of thin up, but also we don't want to put cold sauce on our chicken. It's just going to inhibit it from cooking that much faster. We want to keep these moving and keep the temperature going in the right direction. So I'm going to get these sauced. We'll get some of the rest of these sauced. I'm going to leave a couple of them unsauced too. And then we're going to put these back in, get them up to 175, and let the sauce thicken up on top. And we'll see you back here in a little bit. We let the sauce set up on our chicken thighs for about 20 minutes, and then we checked the temperature again. We were right at about 175 degrees. We took them out and put them on the cutting board here. Let's slice into one and take a look at how we did. Yeah, you can see how juicy that is. Just falling apart, cooking it low and slow like this. It takes a while, yeah, but it's so worth it. You don't get any overcooked chicken. These chicken thighs just hold up so much better to low and slow smoking than chicken breast. You're never gonna get that kind of juice from a chicken breast. Let's go ahead and take a little bite here. Really good smoke flavor from the apple and hickory. Great flavor from that Three Little Pigs rub, and that Blues Hog sauce is just sweet and delicious and fantastic. You can find the full step-by-step recipe that accompanies this video at madbackyard.com. I'll put a link down below, as well as all the products we use today. I'll put links to those too if you want to check them out for yourself. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to this channel. And thanks for watching.